Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. So I wanted to hop on here real quick before starting this amazing garden tour at the Yolo Cares Therapy Garden. And I wanted to warn all of you about the audio in this garden tour. We scheduled with Michael Glassman and Yolo Cares, we fit it in their busy schedules and were able to come this day. And as soon as we showed up, we knew it was going to be a problem. There was a massive construction project going on in the property next door. Huge machines. They were moving land, they were moving dirt, and it was just so incredibly loud. So I wanted to warn you all, we are wearing microphones in this garden tour. Thank goodness, or it wouldn't have worked out at all. And so I was able to kind of fix the audio a little bit and try and remove a lot of the background construction noise, but I just wanted to warn all of you so that you're not surprised when you start watching this garden tour. But we didn't want to miss out on this opportunity. It is such a fantastic therapy garden, and it's always so interesting to hear what Michael has to say about his designs. So just wanted to give you all a heads up. I hope you enjoy it anyway. Hi everyone, welcome back. Janie here, and I am obviously not at my garden today. I have a special video for you all today. You probably recognize this guy. He's been on a couple videos so far. Michael Glassman, landscape designer. Thank you so much for showing us another one of your pieces of art.
My pleasure.
This is amazing.
It's always a thrill. Always a thrill.
So this is Amy Amy Meyer, excuse me. We are at Yolo Cares. Yolo Cares is located in Davis, where I live, and it is a fantastic nonprofit that helps the aging community in town. They help with adult daycare services, hospice services, bereavement services for families, and then what am I missing?
We have palliative care.
Palliative
and
care.
We have an amazing caregiver program.
Awesome. That's so wonderful.
And lots of volunteers.
Great. So it's so important as, you know, our grandmothers and our parents age and our grandfathers age. It's so important to have services like this to help the caregivers out. I was a physical therapist in a past life, so I completely understand how important this is.
Yes.
So Yolo Cares decided to take on a project of transforming a parking lot, basically a parking lot, into a therapy garden. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
And you luckily got the services of this guy. And so Michael, you helped design and plan out this whole therapy garden?
Absolutely. In fact, it was an interesting process because, as you said, it was a parking lot.
Right.
And you heard freeway noise. As we're listening to now, they're doing construction. So
yeah, we apologize about the construction noise. They're doing a huge project right behind us, so hopefully you all can hear us okay.
And the interesting thing was, it's not the run-of-the-mill design project, in the sense that there are a lot of restrictions. There are a lot of things you can do, but there are a lot of things that you shouldn't do or you can't do. And so when I took on the project, the first thing is we met with all these groups of people, and everyone, of course, has a different opinion.
Of course.
One person wanted to do this, one person wanted to do that, one person wanted a farm. They wanted goats and chickens, and it was like, no, we're not doing that. And then once I kind of sat with the group and took in all their ideas, the big thing was I started some research, and the things that I found out was, for example, paving all has to be at one level. Number two is you can't have lots of different tile or anything because the elderly, and especially if you have cognitive problems, can't navigate the different materials. So we chose the broom finish concrete. It's scored, so it's a little bit more interesting.
So visually they can't navigate.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
There were other things that I found out that I didn't even know. The color red is not encouraged. We have orange, like the umbrellas are orange and some of the flowers are orange, but hot red. And when I was reading about it and doing research, it was like, well, what's wrong with red? Apparently it causes anxiety. And so a lot of the people say you stay away from red. When we're designing yards, especially when we've been walking around, everyone wants birds and butterflies and pollinators. They discourage. That doesn't mean you can't put some things, but a lot of birds and a lot of like hummingbirds, a lot of butterflies and dragonflies. As they're flying around, they scare the people because cognitively, sometimes they're a little bit in a fog, so that freaks them out.
It's frightening.
It's frightening.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I
that.
also found, so it was like, okay, so what am I going to use? And top of the list for recommendations were roses. And I was thinking, well, when you research, roses are an old-time plant. And when people see roses, it brings back hidden memories of the past, so that they see that. Shade, very important. Water, the sound of water is great, but you can't have standing water because older people, if they fall into standing water, they could drown.
It's a safety issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we were, and then the idea of having like little hidden areas, you can't do that because as people age, you need to be able to see them. If they fall, if they are having anxiety, you need to be able to see them. So you'll notice that there's different areas through the yard, but it's all open. You can visually see everyone. And all of these things, and I just have to put a little aside, why it meant so much to me is my mom was severely demented. And when we were dealing with that, there wasn't a place like this, which would have been a godsend.
Right.
I would have done anything. And the thing that made such an impression was she couldn't read because she had short-term memory loss. She didn't remember what she read.
Right.
She couldn't watch TV because she couldn't remember what she was watching. So it was like in the beginning, when this really started getting bad, it was like, well, what do you do all day? Garden. The one thing she could do, she could go out into the yard. She could sweep. The wind would blow and she'd sweep again. She could weed. She could prune. And I found that her garden was the one thing that she could do. Not only could she relate to, but it gave her some solace, peace, and so
therapeutic.
Yeah, being a part of this and being able to design this, it's a very special thing, and it's like a homage to my mom.
Oh my God.
And I would like to say that we feel how special it is out here. Everybody who comes to the garden, comes to our program, really appreciates. This is the showstopper. Everything's so beautiful on the inside, but then you come out here and it's just like people are just taken back because it is so beautiful. It's this little hidden secret that we have back here.
Yeah.
And we utilize it quite often.
And you do most of the maintenance on this place?
I do.
That's great.
I come out and on my free time, which is not very often.
Yeah.
I deadhead roses. I check for pests. We had a few issues with our redbuds here. It was just water related. The water wasn't adjusted since everything was planted. So it started to show a little bit of, things were starting to struggle a little bit.
Right.
So I cut back on the irrigation, and things leafed out just fine, as you can see.
Great. And you are a gardener yourself.
I am.
Which is very lucky for Yolo Cares to have you.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
And it's really, it's a reaffirming. We were talking earlier, it would be wonderful if every hospital had a courtyard that instead of sitting in a tired waiting room, you could go out these are a healing garden. Go out into a healing garden, be able to feel like you're a oneness with nature and plants rather than sitting in a tired waiting room and freaking out. I mean, this should be the model for, I would say, all hospitals, all places. Yeah.
I agree too.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right, everyone, I'm sure you're so excited to see the garden. I am going to be following Michael around, just like the regular garden tours that we do. Thank you so much for letting us be here today.
It makes it even more special to have you here.
It really does.
It really
Thank
does.
you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
let's get to the tour.
This was a parking lot. That's
A literal parking lot.
A literal parking lot. I mean, the facility was here, and they had talked about they wanted to do an adult daycare. And when I first met them, I came out, and there was blacktop. The only trees that were here were there were the redwoods, a chain link fence. You could not only see the freeway, you could hear the freeway, and then it was just a wall-to-wall asphalt blacktop. And then there was a gigantic, whomper big block wall, so that, again, there was nothing to soften that. So as we walk around, the first thing we did was we put an overhead here because shade is important. I mean, it gets 105 in Davis, and we put the fans to keep the air moving, keeps away the bugs. The shade cloth takes down about 70 to 90% of the heat.
Oh, wow.
So you can be out here. It doesn't take the light out, so it's still light in the building, but it takes away the heat. Staining the wood, again, makes it a lot easier care. And then to accent, instead of just doing all just wood or anything, we did the ledge stone with a travertine cap to give it a much more elegant look. And, you know, technically people are going to look at certain things. Drainage. You have to think about drainage. So this is a 3-inch channel drain with a removable grate, so that we got a lot of rain this year.
Right.
Instead of the water winding up inside the building, it flows away from the building into the channel drain, and you can clean this out if it ever gets any leaves. And then to me, one of the tenets that's really important to me is everything needs to be functional, but it all has to be softened. You don't want to just look at blank everything. So as we walk this way, you'll notice that the block wall is starting to be covered with creeping fig.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
called Ficus pumila or Ficus repens. It's an evergreen. It does not flower, but it will eventually cover this entire wall.
This massive wall.
Massive wall. And then again, it wasn't enough just to have the creeping fig. We planted the podocarpus. By the way, botanical, I know some of the comments, people wanted the botanical names. Podocarpus gracilior. It's a Japanese fern pine. They're an evergreen, and you can see they are just amazing.
They're the best. I love these. And that's a great idea, putting the creeping fig behind it.
Right.
Just
So
soften
you've got
it.
you've got the creeping fig that'll eventually cover the wall, but then you also have the softness and the beauty of the podocarpus.
Oh, it's beautiful, Michael.
And then as we walk around here, we wanted activities. So one of the things that we wanted was the veggie gardens. So again, because older people, all of us, have problems bending over, we did the raised horse troughs. It's got the drip irrigation, and look at this, sweet peas.
Right. Love it. And all of these were donated?
All of these were donated. In fact, one of the things when we were working on the project, before it was built, we had done the design and we had a fundraiser at my house.
Right.
You saw the garden.
Right.
And the people got inspired because it wasn't just seeing a drawing, it was actually seeing a landscape done by the landscape designer who had designed their place, to see what I had done, and it got people excited, and that's where they raised the money.
Oh, that's wonderful. So does this place run off of donations?
It runs off the donations,
Okay.
not only YOLO Hospice, but also people that donate. And a lot of the donators, you'll see their signs. There's also bricks that people gave money, and so we want to recognize them without having a big donor board.
And people like you in the community
Yes,
that
yes.
absolutely help with projects like
Absolutely.
this. So thank you.
And then this is really kind of cool. You can see more of this. Amy was telling us about, there was a gentleman, he's passed on, but he came here a year ago, and he was in agriculture, and he had aphasia, which means he had problems speaking. But he was in agriculture, and he actually planted this with the strawberries. And she said for the first time, she was just telling me the story, he actually spoke in sentences. Oh, she said it was amazing.
Are you
and
serious?
I'm serious. That's what she was just telling me. He planted the strawberries, and she said the amount of strawberries they get, the people coming here eat it. And she said it was so gratifying to see something, because again, it went back to his roots. He was able to relate to this.
That warms my heart.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that's just so wonderful. That's gardening, like, you know, at its best.
Exactly. Healing Garden 101.
Yes.
And then come on over here.
Tell me about this bench.
Oh my, okay. So, you know I like art in the garden. This is my donation, besides working on the design. I had seen this at a studio, Wes Horn. Donna Billick's son, Wes Horn, now does these wonderful benches and surfboards and everything. So I'd seen this, and with the moon and the stars, and I fell in love with it. And I just said, I want it.
It's beautiful.
Well, I decided, I bought it, and I thought, I don't have a place in my house, so I donated it to Yolo Cares, and thought, what a perfect place. I mean, when you sit in here, you feel like royalty.
Oh my goodness. And I bet everybody who comes here just loves this.
Yeah, I love it. It's colorful, it's whimsical, but there was something about it when I saw it, it resonated with me, and I thought, you know, this is something that this place needs.
Right, right. Now, I have to apologize again if you all can hear the sound. Right there is a bunch of construction. So
Yeah.
Michael's nice,
Loud, booming voice.
So I'm sure you can hear, but if you hear something in the background, that's what it is.
So again, as you're walking down here, you can see more horse troughs, and they encourage people to plant and work on this. It gives them something to do. We have some rosemary, more strawberries, 2 tomatoes that were just recently planted.
It's wonderful.
And
it's so
again, what
sweet.
is so interesting is, so we went to the back area, and I wanted an area where if people wanted to talk, if people wanted to kind of get together, it's open so you can keep an eye on them. But at the same time, come on over here. This is really cool. This is neat because this was the gazebo, and a little feature, Costco gazebo.
Oh,
yeah, Scott is from
interesting.
Costco. Solid structure. It's got the light in it. We ran electrical.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Because again, yes, we had a budget. You know, we had to do the whole thing. And part of the project was just getting rid of the old asphalt, regrading this so it didn't flood out.
Right.
Putting in the overheads, adding shade, putting in irrigation. Lighting is important. So we couldn't just arbitrarily throw money at this. And I knew the Costco gazebos were under $2,000, and it was like, sweet, we can get this. They can reinforce it, put it in there, and it's another shaded area that people can sit.
And not everything has to cost
An arm and a leg.
Right, there
Exactly.
you go.
And then we thought, you know what, in the wintertime, if you come out here, it would be nice to be able to have a fireplace. Because we couldn't afford to run gas, this is an electric fireplace.
Oh.
It does give a lot of heat out there, and it's wonderful. You can turn it on. You can see the vents, and it actually, you see the flames in here. And so again, people can sit back here. If you don't even want to sit on furniture, you can sit on the seat walls.
Right.
So again, and look at the fire, talk. It's another place to congregate.
This is wonderful. I bet the people who come here just love it.
Amy was saying they're so blown away in terms of this is an area that they can wander around. Yes, they keep an eye on them, but it's an open space, and so they can kind of rejuvenate.
Right.
Yeah.
So who Michael's talking about, the adult day care program.
Yes.
It's a place when people have mild cognitive issues. Their families can take them here, and they know that they can be safe.
Exactly. Dementia, early onset of Alzheimer.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that if you haven't, and as I said, I dealt it with my mom.
With your mother.
If you haven't dealt with it, it is so debilitating, not only for the person that's going through it, but for the family members.
Right.
Because I'm going to be real honest, you lose the person, you lose them. They're no longer the person that you remember because they sometimes don't even know who you are.
Right.
And you tell them something. With my mom, I would tell her something, and 2 minutes later, she'd ask me the same question because she couldn't remember what I told her.
Right.
Over here, this is really pretty.
This is gorgeous.
The ground cover is Myoporam.
Okay.
It's Myoporam Puda Creek.
It's incredible. It's so good. It's so good. So
It's lush. Yeah.
So you said this was developed here in Davis?
Yes, it was developed by UC Davis. What's so cool about it is they developed it for the banks of Puda Creek. That's why it's called Puda Creek, Myoporam, because the geese and the ducks were ripping up all of the banks. So it's good for flat spaces. It's good for erosion control.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
people will say, well, what about a hillside? This is perfect because it's got very fibrous roots, extremely drought tolerant. Wow. You would water this maybe once to twice a week, deep water it, and you can see it grows like a weed.
I want this as a lawn alternative.
As
This
a
is
lawn
fantastic.
alternative. I use this a lot because again, it's green, it's lush, it flowers. In the wintertime, it's still green, it holds a bank. I mean, this is a perfect, and for people, we're in zone 9.5.
Yeah, 90. Yeah.
Yep. This is a perfect, but you can go up to the higher elevations. It won't take snow, but
So, and then it's so much less work for the employees here.
absolutely,
They
they're
don't
not
have to worry about mowing.
Exactly.
Right.
And then as you look around, In the back, we have pineapple guavas.
Okay.
And then for accents, we did some of these are Atlas cedars.
Oh.
Cedrus, the blue glauca Atlas cedar. And what I love about them is instead of putting more redwoods, which I love redwoods, but
Right.
the problem is redwoods demand a lot more water.
Okay.
The cedars are drought tolerant.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yes, so as you drive around our valley, you'll see in some of the areas where they have lots of redwoods, the redwoods are stressed and they're dying.
I've seen that.
Right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the cedars are thriving. It's like, wow.
And the redwoods were here.
Yes.
You can see them in the before pictures,
Yes.
right?
And the redwoods were here. There was a chain link fence in the back. So we put the solid fence so you're not looking back at a building and the freeway.
Beautiful. So good. Now, talk about the pineapple guava.
The pineapple guavas are evergreen. They'll get maximum probably, they could get up to 10 feet.
Okay.
They do flower. They've got beautiful flowers you can see.
Can I step on this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And then what's neat about the flowers are they form guava fruit. It's edible, and it's like a cross between a guava and a little bit of flavor of pineapple. I love them.
Oh, how fun.
You just pop them off, peel them, and eat them.
These are a very common plant here, for use as an evergreen plant. But it's wonderful to see them like this in this use and with the Myoporam in front of it.
Drought tolerant and botanical name Thehoa celowiana. Again, and I figured a lot of our comments, the one thing people said is, can you give us
What was that?
Yeah,
What was that? Yeah.
I snuck in, not a lot, but we needed some color, and I snuck in the butterfly bush, the Buddleia. This is called Miss Molly.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's far enough away that if there are some butterflies, it's not going to scare the people. But I mean, look at the color.
You needed it.
You needed
this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you can see every area is accessible with a walker, with a wheelchair, but there's an island to separate one area, but kept low. These are little gem magnolias or dwarf magnolias.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
And then this is a ground cover, drought tolerant. It's called grevillea.
Okay.
It's a prostrate grevillea.
Okay.
And it's got a little pink flower. And again, it stays low, but again, very drought tolerant. And it doesn't attract a lot of birds and butterflies because it's a drought tolerant, very, very low key.
Tell us about this gorgeous
Oh, I
thing.
love this.
It looks like we're in October right now.
Right. I saw these, I have to be honest with you, I saw these at the nursery and I thought, oh my God, this is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Again, it's a flamethrower redbud. And
so it is the middle of June right now.
Yes.
We should not be having red foliage like this
exactly.
on redbuds.
But this is what it looks like. And it stays that way until it turns its fall color and then goes deciduous. But I mean, oh my God, look at this.
It's so pretty. I need this.
I love this.
I need this. I need this tree.
I was gonna rip something out of my yard just to put one in, but I couldn't find a place.
And then we have your weeping cedar,
Weeping
which is
cedar.
kind of a Michael special.
Yeah. Again, a living piece of art.
It's so pretty. It is so pretty. I bet the visitors here just absolutely love seeing this.
I do. And you'll notice there's lighting, so at night, because they do have functions here at night, it shows the silhouette of the plant and the structure.
So pretty. So good.
And then as we turn around, these are raised planters. And the reason for these were people can sit all the way around this area. But again, shade is important. So what we did was we used the raised planters to be able to sink the umbrellas. So you don't have the umbrella stand. So when it's windy, you can close them, but they don't fall over.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because they're all sunk in here, and you can see now when these are open, it's all shaded.
It's beautiful. I bet this is just the most peaceful place when there isn't construction.
When there isn't construction, yeah, exactly.
But it's very, very beautiful. And I love that you just don't have to worry about the umbrellas falling over, because I worry about that all the time.
And then again, you have the lavender, which it just finished blooming. It'll start again.
Yeah.
This is the Spanish lavender.
Yep, I love
And then white carpet roses.
Oh, yep. Which, like you were saying, the roses are key because they bring back wonderful memories.
Wonderful memories, and we'll get to those. We flank we did some carpet roses because they're no care, but then we did traditional roses to flank them. And then the fountain, I love this. It was just a simple pot fountain. You'll notice there's no standing water.
Oh, yep.
But again, the sound, when there's not trucks going, the sound is absolutely wonderful. And it's a great focal point.
It's so interesting that you've thought of all the things with standing water, access, wheelchair and walker access, water drainage, so there's no slipping. Yeah. I mean, this is such a complicated garden to design. Is just so interesting. It's
what I try to tell people is, yes, I mean, that's what gardening's about, having fun, enjoyment. But you have to do your due diligence. When I worked on this project, it wasn't just, okay, throw a patio out there, throw this. There were so many requirements that I had to consider so that people didn't have problems with falling and tripping and drowning and all of these things, and the psychological aspect of the gardening, which, to be honest with you, I learned so much because I didn't know a lot of this.
Right.
And so I researched it before I ever started the design because I wanted to get it right.
And I'm going to say this, and I know you didn't want me to say this, but Michael donated quite a lot of his time to this project.
I did.
So
I did.
We have to thank you for that.
When we went and bought the plants, instead of charging for it, this was all donated. We bought the plants, we placed it and everything. So yeah.
And you didn't want to talk about it.
No,
so
I
I'm
didn't.
embarrassing him right
That's
now.
okay.
But I have to say it.
These are really interesting. Instead of having a donor board, we did the bricks.
It's beautiful. How wonderful. And then you can just keep adding to it.
You can keep adding as people donate. And then let's walk over here.
Okay. Oh, look,
this is really great. Again, we flanked, there's some symmetry, you'll notice. It's very symmetrical.
Right.
So this rose garden, bordered in boxwood, is for traditional roses.
Okay.
The other one on the other side, I love these. I've stayed away from, as much as I love the bright red roses.
Right.
But these are all traditional roses. Peace, honor, and then when you look over at the other one, let's go over there.
So it's so interesting to me that red is so jarring.
Apparently it creates anxiety.
Interesting. I wonder why,
I don't know. Again, everything that I read kept saying that. Try to avoid the bright red. You can do hot pinks and everything.
And of course, oranges. I know it's hard to see on film, but these are like a burnt orange
Burnt
color.
orange. I think this one's brandy, so it's again the burnt orange.
Beautiful.
A lot of gold, you'll notice, a lot of apricot.
Mm-hmm. And I bet a lot of the visitors here, can remember growing roses in their garden.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Really good. And then surrounded all with boxwoods.
With boxwood, which again gives it a little bit of more, it's a relaxed formality.
Right.
And then those two trees, those are our Acer October Glories.
Okay.
That will eventually get big enough to give some additional shade. And then eventually you'll have to change out. Right now, because it's full sun, we have yarrow and we have daylilies in here.
Okay.
But eventually, and that's what's so neat. That's the one thing that I think your viewers will really enjoy. Nothing's static when it comes to landscaping.
Right.
So you put things in where it's full sun and you use full sun planting. But eventually, if you plant trees, it's going to get shady. You haven't made a mistake. It's now time to transition to things that will take more shade.
Right.
So it's an ongoing thing. And this is my own little commercial. Interior design I love. It's wonderful. But you buy your furniture, you buy your accent pieces, and that's it. They're static. They're not going to change.
Yep.
But with a landscape, no matter what we start with, it's going to constantly embellish itself. It's going to grow. Some things are going to thrive, some things aren't. But it's always changing. And to me, that's the excitement of it. We can come back in 20 years. These trees will be canopied over this whole patio. And just think how it's going to change every year.
Doesn't he just make you smile?
Thank you.
You speak to a gardener's heart. That is exactly what I love about gardening as well. You're never done. And
You're never done.
Once you've accepted it and found the joy in it, it's just such a wonderful thing.
Right, and the big thing, as I said earlier, it's not you didn't make a mistake.
Right.
Experimentation is so important. You know, when I did the video on my place, I kept talking about the dogs, which is important, and I keep trying things that will thrive with the dogs. In people's place, try something. You don't have to buy 30 of them. You can buy 2 or 3, put them in the ground, baby them, fertilize them, and see what happens with them. If they thrive, it's what I do with my clients. I'll try things at my place, and if it thrives, then I can recommend it. But don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. Don't be afraid to try some things. It's about having joy, fun, excitement. It's not, oh my God, I made a mistake, slap my hand.
I
No,
can't do this.
I can't do that.
I have a brown thumb.
And that is the number one thing I hate when people say, I have a brown thumb or a black thumb. No one does. It's a matter of some things thrive, some things don't. Everything needs care. Everything needs to be fertilized on a regular basis. We eat to keep ourselves healthy. We take vitamins to keep ourselves healthy.
Right.
A plant needs the same thing. You can't just put it in the ground, forget to water it, not feed it, and expect it to thrive.
Right.
Yeah.
I read something that said the difference between a good gardener and a bad gardener is a good gardener keeps trying after the plant dies.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. And then here, again, we have the Redbuds, the Traveler. This is an Oklahoma Redbud.
Okay.
That is Ruby Falls Redbud.
And you have this one in your garden.
I have this one. And
love it.
can I tell you, it is exploding. As much as it looked good last time,
Right.
the leaves are like this big.
Oh my goodness. Can we come back and get an update of your garden?
We definitely can do that. We definitely can do that. And then again, as you see in the back, we did, because this gets a lot of shade, we did azaleas. They're bloomathon azaleas.
Oh, yes.
So they'll bloom 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall.
Oh, beautiful. So this is a north-facing wall right there. So that's fantastic. I actually have a pink bloomathon. I love it.
I love them. I love
them.
them. And then, of course, we have the asparagus fern, the Myers asparagus fern.
Right. One of my favorites.
I love those.
They do so well.
And as you're filming, you can see when they renovated the building, these used to be teeny little windows or blank walls. They put in all the windows so that when people are in here, they have this incredible view.
Right. And again, you're thinking about the inside to outside view, which is
inside
fantastic.
to outside view.
That's so wonderful, Michael. Do you know anything about this?
I don't. There are the things that's kind of funny is as I walk around, there's things that they're adding. Donation signs, little pieces. I think that's the neat thing is because they're constantly adding some different things that make, really wonderful. This is the first time I've been back in probably a year.
Oh, really?
So I have to be real honest with you. The amount of growth and fill in, it's a wow.
Yeah.
It's just a wow.
This garden seems like a garden that will be constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Just the amount of hands that will be here. I was just talking to Amy about bringing some of the master gardeners, rosarians, to come out here and help with the roses and pruning and all. There's going to be so much community involvement in this garden, which is beautiful.
I think that's I'd love to see one year someone plant bulbs, tulips, or daffodils, or narcissus. Again, it's a living thing.
Right.
So, and the landscape brings life to the people that are surrounding it.
Right.
So, I mean, how much more reaffirming is than to be out here?
Right.
And then there's one more area.
Okay. I like your choice of bark mulch.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I love the black mulch because it makes everything pop.
Oh, I love it so much.
And then in here, this was the one area that you have the doors coming out here that I knew they were going to be able to have an area where they could play cards,
right.
They could sit, they could have it. And then we did the water wall here, which the water cascades down. And again, you can sit there, but no standing water.
Right, safety. Yeah.
Right. And then you'll notice, again, you have the Japanese maple, that's a coral bark.
This one right here is coral bark?
Right.
Okay.
Acer palmatum sangu kaku.
Beautiful.
These are, look at the chocolate coreopsis.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then again, some azaleas, the Nandina in the background, that's the Gulf Stream. They're thriving.
This is gorgeous.
Isn't this beautiful?
This is really pretty.
No area in a yard, in my opinion, is a throwaway space. Every area is important. Every area should be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And so when you stand here, you can see the structure, the ferns. I love those, the tassel ferns.
Tassel?
Tassel.
I don't know those. Those are interesting.
Aren't those beautiful?
They're very beautiful. Oh, they're gorgeous. It's so interesting to hear your plant choices. Look at how beautiful this is. Can you imagine, you know, the other fantastic thing about this garden is it's a caregiver respite.
It's a caregiver.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things about having an aging family member is the caregiver, which you are your mother's caregiver, right?
Yeah.
And just to have a wonderful, beautiful place, you know they're going to enjoy their day here. You can drop them off, you know, get some time to grocery shop or sleep or something like that. How wonderful to know that your loved one is going to be spending the day out here.
Exactly. In fact, real quick little story. I had established a friendship with someone. They were friends of a friend of ours, but we also reconnected on social media, Facebook. And she's in Scotland. And she started a charity organization. And what they do is they have things like this, gardens, but it's where caregivers need a respite. They need to go on vacation. So they bring their loved ones and they can spend, it's all free, they can spend a week, and they have fashion shows and they have all these events so that the patients have things to do while the caregivers go on vacation and regenerate and heal. It's all done by charity. They've gotten government and corporate grants, and the place, it's an old castle that they converted. And I was doing some consulting for them. But again, it's the whole idea. It's not only the people that come here, but it's the loved ones that take care of their families that they sometimes need a break.
They do. Caregiver burnout is, I mean, it's such a real, solid thing that we need to pay more attention to.
Yeah.
So a place like this, while it's wonderful for the patients, it's also wonderful for the caregivers.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Because imagine taking your loved one to a place. You're going to feel good about it.
Absolutely.
Just like you would feel good about taking them to a castle in Scotland.
It's got a castle in Scotland, right. I said to her, I want to just stay there. I don't need to go on vacation. I'll just stay at the castle, and they can go away.
Seriously, I don't need to go anywhere. I want to go to a castle in Scotland.
Exactly.
Well, Michael, thank you so much
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Taking your time. You have been such a joy on this channel. I know for everybody, we all love you, but I really appreciate you spending the time and educating us and showing us what is out there, what is needed, and what joy gardening can bring to everybody.
It's my pleasure. And what I had said to you before, which to me is important, is the gardens that I'm gonna help, hopefully you'll highlight, are things that solve a problem, are a little bit out of the ordinary, they're different, and they're, again, inspiration to give people ideas, not only on plants, but ideas for raised planters and everything, so that they can look at their own space and say, oh, I can't do everything, but I certainly can do this, or I can do that. And it's all about inspiration.
And you do a wonderful job at that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Michael being here. You heard it from him. He said we could come back to his garden and see what it looks like now. So thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're so busy. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, you all. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.